it started out being something, and then it became something else, right? At first, it was about running away from home. My wife had passed away in 2019, then COVID had happened, and I was stuck at home together with my kids. And then in 2022, both my kids went overseas for studies, right? So the home was empty. And I thought, what better time than to just run away and go on an adventure, because staying at home was probably going to make it a lot worse. So it started out as adventure, but then it eventually became a pilgrimage. And thankfully, because the Camino is a pilgrimage, and it became a pilgrimage where I was very focused on trying to understand what was God's purpose for me. Because a priest friend had quite pointedly told me that, my mission in life to look after my sick wife was over, and I had a new mission. And if I didn't seek it out and try and fulfill it, and if I kept looking backwards, then I would be being disobedient to what God had planned for me.
So it became a pilgrimage after when it actually started out as an adventure.
I expected to be able to find a new direction in life. Did I get that? No, not at all. Right. Apart from writing the book, which I felt was an outcome of the
Camino.
It was unexpected. It was unanticipated. And what happened was that I maintained a journal, right? And the journal was on Telegram. And it was primarily because my friends were worried about me because I was walking through France and Spain, and they said, you got to keep in touch so that we know you're safe. So with a small group of friends, we had a rule. I'm going to post 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. If I miss any one of those, then trace back to my last location and look for me within 10 kilometers of that. But it took on a life of its own. I started writing quite extensively on the channel. Eventually, a lot of friends got invited to it, so it became a way for me to keep them posted. And as more and more people joined it, I felt that it was incumbent upon me to be more expressive and to be more detailed, rather than just say I'm in such and such a place, I'm going to such and such a place. That's my first foray into social media. Only this year did I start up a Facebook account, Instagram account. My LinkedIn profile was not updated since, I think, 2016. And Telegram was used as a means of communication, not as a channel. And I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy summarizing my thoughts, expressing how I felt, communicating what I saw during the day. Usually the routine is that I arrive in a particular location, so you usually walk for about 7 to 8 hours a day, and you will cover between 25 to 30 kilometers. So when you arrive at about 3 to 4 p.m. And then dinner is usually at about, the Spanish eat late, so dinner is usually about 8 p.m., maybe 7:30 if you're lucky. So the intervening 4 hours you use to shower, wash your clothes, and really socialize with people around you. Or if there's nobody to socialize with, then I journal. I really enjoyed it. I mean, surprisingly, I was very surprised at myself for how much I enjoyed it. I really wanted to express what I was seeing and the wonderful experiences that I was going through. Physically, I was quite, I wouldn't say I was well prepared, but there's nothing that can really prepare you to walk 925 kilometers, because unless you walk it, right? You can prepare to run a marathon in a sense, because it takes maybe 4 hours to run a marathon, 5 hours. But to actually go through the ordeal of walking such a long distance, there's nothing really that prepares you for it. So you can only do short bursts, probably back to back over the weekend, 20 kilometers one Saturday and 20 kilometers Sunday. And I did that probably about twice a week for a good year. I started by being very unfit, slightly overweight, more obese than normal. And then over time you get stronger, you can carry more, you can walk further, you can walk faster, and then that's when you know you are at least progressing in the right direction. I probably carried too much. But one thing I realized though, weight was actually a red herring, because after a while, whatever weight you're carrying, you get used to it, right? So by within 2 weeks, although I was carrying probably a much larger bag than all my fellow pilgrims, my bag was about 15 kilograms. Most of theirs was about 10 or less, right? But the extra 5, you don't notice it after about 2 weeks. There wasn't really much overpacking. What happened was that the equipment I bought was too heavy. So my backpack was 3 kilograms around there. My friend's was 1, right? And if I had actually done a little bit more research, rather than just latch onto the first name brand that I see, I could probably have reduced my weight there. My clothes also are probably bigger than most because of my size, so that every little gram weight adds up. But if I had to eliminate something, I think it'll probably be my Insta360 camera. That was a waste of time. My original view was, I'll carry it and then edit after that, right? But that never happens. And more often than not, it's easier to just take out your camera, your phone, and then film what it is that you want to film and then put it away. I had 3 sets of clothes. I wore 1 and had 2 in the reserve. Some of the fellow pilgrims were getting by with 2, and sometimes they didn't wash every day. For me, washing every day was quite essential. I started in Lourdes in France, walked along the Pyrenees till Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, crossed the Pyrenees there to get to Roncesvalles, and then down to Pamplona. The entire journey was 925 kilometers. It took 50 days. But out of that 50 days, I rested 11. I was traveling during Easter, and I wanted to stay, for example, in one spot over Easter Sunday, so that I could go to church. And then for the other days, whenever there's a big city, I thought it would be nice to just spend an extra day and explore the city. So all those added up, and in hindsight, I'm glad I did, because those days of rest allow your body to recover. It's really quite brutal. And you keep walking, like a lot of my friends, a lot of them have had injuries of one form or another, and I didn't develop any as well during the walk, because I didn't have a time limit within which to finish the walk. I could just take as much time as I wanted, and it also meant that if I didn't want to walk 20 kilometers and only wanted to walk 15, then I would just stop at the next village that I see, and then look around for accommodation and then stay there. The only problem is that you have to watch out for peak periods. So Easter is a Holy Week, what they call Semana Santa in Spain, is very, very busy. So you have to book. And if you book, it means that you're obligated to walk the distance and get to the destination. The villages are actually quite closely spaced together. And every village will probably have some accommodation, even if it's like 5 beds. You'll probably be able to find it. 500,000 people walking every year. And out of the 500,000, for the route that I took, probably about 40 to 50% take that route. Most people do it somewhere around the 32, 33 days. The Alexander that started was, at that time, without the benefit of hindsight, the Alexander that started thought he was perfectly okay, well adjusted, very focused on trying to understand purpose, what my purpose was, and I thought that there wasn't much that I needed to do except to find purpose. Along the way, I discovered that I'm actually quite likable. Maybe it's also because of the Camino. Everybody takes to each other and they talk, and there's a lot of openness, and as a result, a lot of very strong friendships were formed, and it's nice feeling accepted. It's nice feeling part of a community. And then over time, as that happens, and you find that more and more people accept who you are, you're less and less critical of your own self. So by the time I finished, and especially when there was one point in the Camino when called the Cruz de Ferro, which is the Iron Cross, and it's traditionally a part where you are supposed to bring a stone from home, wherever your home is, for you to let go, have that cross. And the stone is supposed to represent whatever it is you want to represent, whether it's a burden, whether it's an offering, a prayer, whatever. I didn't bring a stone. But I discovered one a day before I was at Cruz de Ferro. And then I discovered that I actually still had many burdens with respect to my wife's passing, which I wasn't sensitive to. So by the time I was actually supposed to let go, I couldn't. So it was a big struggle for me, but finally I did, in faith, because of my faith. And then when that happened, every day after that you feel freer and freer and lighter. So that by the time I finished with the community that I had with me, the fact that I'm well loved, plus realizing that I'm now more free, I'm much more happy, much more joyful, and much more at peace. And I have fewer worries. You don't have to be religious to go on the Camino. I had many friends who were on the Camino who are atheists, who were not Christian, and they were there basically seeking something, and invariably all found the resolution or the peace that they were looking for. It is quite a magical place, and but the only thing I would caveat is, my view, but I don't know whether it holds for everybody. You should walk the long route. It gives you the time to slow down, to settle into the rhythm, to meet people, and talk to people, and then a little bit at a time, you start to change and you start to reform. 2023 was my first. 2024 I did the Camino Portuguese, which was from Porto to Santiago de Compostela. 2025, this year, I walked in Italy, from Lucca in Tuscany down to Rome. So that was a particularly hard walk, because the Italian walk is not as well developed as the Spanish walk. So there are fewer towns. The geography is entirely different. The Italian towns are at the top of hills. Spanish towns are at the bottom of hills. So it results in a very different walk profile, because in Spain it would probably be entirely flat. Sometimes you might have to go up and come down, but you don't have to ascend in order to reach a town. In Italy, you always have to climb at the end of the day, and that's it's terrible. Yeah, it's a slog. You come down and then you think, right, at the end of the day, I'm going to come up again, and you do. So the route profile is a lot more demanding. That took 21 days, 420 kilometers, and I walked it with 4 friends from my first Camino.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have stayed in touch. I have many close friends. I don't want to walk by myself all the time, but it would be nice to walk alone once in a while, because it gives you the time to not have to engage, and to just have your own time to think, to feel, to pray, and then basically it's nice to have me time. No, not at all, except to help me sleep, because sometimes you need noise cancelling earphones in an albergue when everybody's snoring, and then you need it. It followed very much the timeline and the chronology of the Telegram channel, right? So that was already my the structure of the book, and it was helped by the fact that, because I was so as I was journaling, it was fairly detailed. I mean, the journal alone was about 30 to 40,000 words, right? So the eventual book was 140,000. So, there was, I only had to add a little bit more, right? So it shaped out how I wanted it to shape out. And I had to follow the chronology. I had to be truthful to that. Ooh, a long time, 1.5 years. Well, to completion, slightly more than 2 years. So I started in June 23. I thought at that time, having never written before, I said I'll finish by the end of the year, no problem, right? No. I only finished the first draft in November 2024. So that's 11 months late. It's hard. It's when as you're writing, some days you have an idea of what you want to say, but the words that are coming out just don't match your own inner thoughts, right? And then you keep rewriting and you keep rewriting and you keep rewriting. And worse is the next day you come back, and when you think that you've written something brilliant that put the day before, the next day you come back and you look at it and you think, this is crap, and then you throw everything away and start again, right? So that was the difficulty. I also went on the walks, so that took away about 2 months in 2024 and then again in 2025. But mainly it was trying to make sure that it was good. I would like to. I quite enjoy the process. The next one, I won't say too much, but it may be a work of fiction. For me, it would come back to when my wife was diagnosed with cancer in 2014 rather than from her death in 2019. And I say in the book, and although some people may not agree with me, but cancer is graceful. It gives you time. It may be difficult, it may be painful, but it allows everybody, including the person who is suffering, to unwind, to get to repair issues that have happened in the past, to repair relationships. So yeah, when she was first diagnosed, denial was probably very strong. And then the bargaining also very quickly after that. But the bargaining for me became a means of revelation. It was through prayer. It's bargaining with God, right? Saying, please, why is it that you're making my family go through this a little bit? And anger and bargaining was probably at the same time. Yeah, no depression, at least I don't think so. Because I had children to look after. They were still teenagers. They had secondary school to go through, and then they had to go through their IB before my son went off to national service and my daughter went off overseas. So there were very practical things that I needed to take care of, and those occupy my thoughts. And then when she finally passed away in 2019, there was a fair amount of acceptance already. During the Camino, I was quite open about what had happened to me, because most people in the Camino are, right? It's the long distance, those who walk a long distance. If you walk a short distance, they have their own. They're looking for different things, but they haven't had the time, I think, to be able to start trusting the people around them. My book is called A Glimpse of Heaven because of the joy, the peace, the contentment that I felt. And I attribute it to lessons that I've learned, right? Which I condense into 11 lessons at the end of the book. But those 11 lessons are just extrapolations of what my own faith teaches me, right? Which is love God, love your neighbor as yourself. I try to live that out. At least everybody in the Camino try to live that out. And when everybody does that, you do get your slice of heaven.